You never know what happens next. It starts out as a comedy and then becomes a drama and then a war movie, and it's just, you cannot tell what will happen next, and I think that's the amazing thing about it.
Timeless is extremely good. It shows different aspects of life. I like it very much. It is very, very impressive, very exciting.
The whole process of filming was extremely pleasant and very satisfying also. Basically, we had this feeling of full freedom. Whatever idea came into our minds, we tried to put it into the film.
Fuck the system!
My involvement with Timeless is merely a matter of courage. But I have been courageously engaging this script, this film, this experience.
Harry Lennox in particular, struts around like an overstuffed turkey with more ham and cheese shoved down his throat than you'd ever find in a picnic hamper.
Oh, Harry Lennox. Oh, yeah.
Tough guy. Watching it was one of the most depressing moments of my life. Give me a cuddle.
Alex got it. I just figured he's another guy who is almost making a movie someday. But he turned out to be a real deal.
Are you here for some kind of sex party?
Beyond the real deal. Like, don't I seem like an American being held hostage doing a propaganda tape for Iraq?
When I was showing my earlier feature films, Menschenliebe and Breakup at international film festivals, I made many friends. I wanted to collaborate with Harry Lennox, with Angus MacFadyen, with Rick Shapiro and all my other friends. So I wrote a screenplay called Timeless.
Maxim, einführen bitte. Ganz bisschen.
It addresses some themes that I already addressed in my earlier films, but in a far bigger way. Very early on, I had the idea to incorporate my American friends into the film through American television shows. So it would make sense that in some scenes the actors speak English, in other scenes they speak German.
I love anarchist ideas, but at the end of the day, I hope the status quo is...
One doesn't so much meet Tuschinski as one experiences him. I was fascinated by his approach. And I thought to myself, well, why not spend time with this young man? He's attracted the attention of many great filmmakers. You've got Niebling, you've got Tito Brass, of course.
They're probably very important for aspiring artists.
It goes very well. The editing of the film was quite similar to my films. I like it very much.
Das verblüfft unglaublich, mit welch geringen Mitteln, ernsthaft gesagt, so etwas auf die Beine gestellt wird. Verdient alle Anerkennung, ja, also man kann nur ganz gewiss sein, dass da was noch kommen wird, was uns in Zukunft fürchterlich ärgern wird, ja, weil es so gut ist.
I've seen all of Alex's films, and he has the most extraordinary, witty, irreverent, silly, brilliant, innovative sense of humor. I love watching them. I never know what to expect because each one of them is so innovative and so different. Some film directors have a gift for storytelling. Some film directors have a gift for using actors in an inventive way. Some have a very distinctive way of using the camera. Alex Tuschinski has all of these qualities, and he's only 27 years old.
I agree art should not be influenced by society. What do you think, Liza?
I think so too.
It's not like European, American. It's a guy who lives his own way. When he offered to fly me out to Germany, the LA chick that I was, stuck with LA boys, I said, I don't care if the script is the Jimmy Osmond life story, I'll do it. But then when I saw the script, I saw how lucky I was. And then when I met Alex and saw how he worked, it was simple, flowing rivers meeting each other. And it was beautiful.
Through Todd, I met Alex. He was like, Alex is this great young filmmaker.
And after seeing Alex's work, I agreed, I loved it. Then I got introduced to Alex and got introduced to Rick, and we all became friends. Alex's previous films are awesome. They have a sense of humor, a point of view that's kind of insane, and they're hilarious. They have a unique and individual voice. Menschenliebe is my favorite. Killer Squirrels, while being really a student work, is still fun. Breakup, probably technically very superior to the other films, but more a sketch Monty Python style. And as far as I was told, I think that Timeless is a way to bring all of the storytelling genius of Menschenliebe and mix it with the new camera skill and cinematography perfection that was in Breakup, create kind of a greatest hits of Alexander's work up till now, which I think is fantastic.
1932. Willst du uns verarschen?
1932. Wow.
From the beginning, I thought of bringing a 1930s theme into Timeless. You know, a 1930s gangster theme. It started out with the music. I do collect 1930s sound recordings, so I picked a lot of music from the era for my next feature film and wrote the screenplay, sometimes to the music, sometimes to inspiration of the moment.
Jetzt lasse ich schon wieder das ein und sobald reinkommt, lasse ich es fallen. Flop. Dong, dong, dong.
Timeless incorporates some themes from my debut feature Menschenliebe, for example the characters Arnold and Konstantin, in a very different setting. Konstantin is, like in Menschenliebe, a womanizer, an artist, a very strange man. Arnold sees Konstantin as some kind of mentor, but it all got a very strange twist.
I always played Arnold, who I think was always the main character in all the movies, besides Konstantin. But in this film, it was definitely the most fun in making.
We filmed the very first scenes in the summer of 2014 and then finished filming in September 2015. All of us worked on the film in our free time, so it was not a shoot that was just a few days in a block. It was basically 3 days here, then we had 2 weeks of break, then 1 day here, and then I could get this location, and then I was looking for another location. So it was all very spontaneous. And in the beginning I didn't even think we would have a tank in the end. I thought we would have 3 soldiers in a basement. Then before we filmed the tank scene, I had the idea, let's put a tank in the film. I looked for tank collectors, I found Mr. Jörn Bindig in Saxony. He collects tanks, I gave him a call and he liked the project. And so we said we could just have the tank, we could travel there. So it was all a very intense experience. It felt as if everything goes, because the film just grew and grew and grew the more we were filming. You know, in the original screenplay there's no car to be smashed. I put that in because I had the idea 1.5 months before we were filming it. And all that, so it was a very intense experience.
When I heard that Hollywood actors were in the film, I was shocked. Oh damn it. They are gonna see you act too.
Kleines Trinkgeld. Fahr einfach noch ein bisschen weiter runter. Und Jenny, jetzt kannst du aufs Skelett halten. Oh, Jenny, mach nochmal uns dran.
At the beginning, when the American actors were there, we had to put everything in a block, all the scenes in a few days. Picking up Harry from the airport, picking up Rick from the airport. It was great to have some good friends who are also very talented actors here in my hometown of Stuttgart to do the filming. It felt very surreal.
See what we should do with Flipper here.
The very first day of filming was the interrogation scene, and it was very crazy. You know, we had a detailed screenplay, but I picked Rick Shapiro for the role of the bad cop because he's brilliant at improvisation. You know, you just have to let Rick do his thing and it gets better than you could ever dream of.
You like toys, right? We can have some fun. It's just you and me. So, what do you want to do? You want to rub down first? Would you like to rub? Hey, what's going on? Did Tinkerbell fly in? Did Tinkerbell fly into the room and go, I'm going to set little Blue Eyes free because he may be a murderer and a scumbag and probably raped and killed and cut.
I wanted to start Timeless with a bang. It's a kind of thriller, so we wouldn't really know what kind of film is coming up.
It was kind of a dark first day where my good friend and I were hour after hour yelling at each other at the top of our lungs and punching each other. And I think what it led to a scene that was supposed to be originally ha-ha funny being really darkly, intriguingly funny. But there were some wild moments of violence, nudity, and aggression that were completely unscripted.
And I'm going to prove it to you right for bucket now. If only you could get me hard. If only I was...
On the set, we encouraged him to start to improvise, and we filmed lots of takes at lots of angles.
Rick Shapiro is a comedic genius. I don't know if there's any better comedian working today.
I'm serving men, I'm serving old men, I'm serving old men for sex, I'm serving old sex to older men. I'm serving sex for a taco. You ever suck dick for a taco? I've been where you've been. That's what I'm saying. So all you gotta do is sign this.
I apologize about my colleague. Rough around the edges. Shapiro is perhaps the most underrated genius of our time. One discusses Richard Pryor, Eddie Murphy, George Carlin. One discusses Lenny Bruce. One discusses performance art. One discusses even persons who are lesser known as genius. But Shapiro was a completely wild phenomenon. I enjoyed, if you will, working with him. But I've mostly observed him doing his thing, which I thought was absolute genius.
Be safe or dead. Join the army now. That's what was beautiful. You start off as an actor, as a man, me. I start off like, what is this? And then as the next two words were said, you're in it. You're in Alex's, for lack of a better word, serious, fun playground. You're in it.
Hey man, I came to this party alone. I'm married. Left my wife home.
And I'm gonna be engaged soon. Harry was great. Harry is a bottle of rhymes, and I'm a bottle of wild pill.
The happiness of all of us is more important than the happiness of the individual.
Harry Lennox, acting aside, is one of the greatest human beings I think you'll ever meet. Always generous with help, always generous with advice, and he's got a spectacular career doing huge films, and you know, he didn't have to be such a gentleman. To know him is just completely inspiring on a personal level. Just how to be a human being, the best way you can be. I mean, I know it sounds ridiculous, but he is that cool of a dude. And as for an actor, he just has that tremendous voice, that presence, and he would always, remember his lines, always hit his mark. Like, just a professional.
Actors, they should all just kill themselves now. Kill themselves, because they'll never work again after this disaster. And if they don't kill themselves, I will do it myself with this gun.
My mother used to hate me, and all she did was cry.
Editing the interrogation scene was a big challenge because there was so much material. You know, I tried to edit it at first to be like my screenplay, but then I put more and more improvised moments in, and the final edit of the scene is better than I could have ever dreamed of.
I'm not being very nice, I'm not being very amicable, affable. No affability here. Let me be affable, boy. I've been where you've been.
You don't know how to say shit. When I hear this, it's fucking illegal!
No affability here. Let me be affable, boy.
It's fucking illegal!
His films are all low budget, but look a lot more expensive than their budget, and they all have they have great acting in them, even though the entire cast and crew are local friends and students. So both of these things are a tribute to Alex's innovative genius.
I'm a bully for the dead. I'm waking you up, man.
What Alex does differently than other low-budget filmmakers, I guess you could put into two categories. One, rehearsal. He spends so much time in rehearsal with actors going over their lines and going through the scenes and blocking that you get to rehearse over and over again, which I guess some actors may not like, but I think a lot of actors love it. I personally think it's great. Brings out the best performances.
Sorry, dass wir hier einfach so reinplatzen.
Seid ihr etwa irgendwelche Spione?
Nee, wir sind eigentlich auf der Flucht vor der Polizei.
Du, das ist jetzt nicht so gemeint, wir sind ja nicht Verbrecher, oder? Genau, Seite 15 der Szene und dann proben wir mal was mit Text und so, das ist jetzt alles sehr ungewöhnlich, aber ich habe jetzt...
Lass uns mal vorstellen, das da ist Lukas, das ist Melanie, das ist Tobi, das ist Steffen und ich bin Biene.
Und
Oh, sorry.
Er hat keinen Namen.
Ich habe keinen Namen.
Probieren wir es noch einmal. Probieren es einfach durch, dann haben wir es auch flüssig.
Aber wenn ein Bier ist das nicht ein Zitat von John Mills?
Das kommt doch.
Aber das war kein Zitat von John Mills.
Many scenes we did with 2 cameras. Matthias and I operated them. Matthias Kirsti is a brilliant cinematographer. I met him when we were both studying at Stuttgart Media University, and we've been friends since then. And he collaborated with me in most of my films. He was with me in all of my feature films, and we share exactly the same visual style.
Matthias macht was Cooles mit der Kamera.
Machen wir nochmal von gerade, machen wir nur das Ende der Szene. Ja,
In my previous films, it was always a kind of collaboration. When I'm acting, he's operating the camera. When I'm not acting, I'm operating the camera. This time we filmed with 2 cameras in many scenes. And I like to shoot from lots and lots of camera angles.
They use multiple cameras for every take. So it's almost like 2 A units going at the same time. And then even backup cameras also taking coverage, so that every scene is done in its entirety, which is great for an actor's flow. And then, as you're getting into it and flowing from the beginning to end of the scene without stopping, yet another rehearsal, you have Alexander filming a movie, Matthias filming a different movie, a third camera filming to make sure the scene is covered. And then they move everything and do it from a different angle. So it's kind of like 6 times the amount of coverage, or maybe the amount of coverage you would get from a precise director like a Kubrick or something, but instead of all day long, it's over in the normal amount of time. So you end up with, for a lower budget, so many more angles, so many more takes. That's really the second thing that he does. And the magic part of that is the interplay that him and Matthias appear to have one mind. As one gets one piece, another person knows to be getting another direction. And it's fantastic to watch the setup, and it's like a ballet to watch it in practice.
I like to be very spontaneous also in cinematography. We do a lot of takes, we do 2 cameras, and if I see something interesting happening somewhere, we just move the camera. Matthias and I watch what the other is shooting. We have displays on our cameras, so we see what's going on.
When I met Matthias, I wondered why someone of such prodigious skill would not be working on multi-million-dollar productions. I thought Matthias was a craftsman, a wonderful artist. He really is a painter with a camera.
Es wäre total witzig, aber ich mach's nicht, wenn ich jetzt über dich herziehe und du dann ins Bild kommst und wir streiten und dann boxen wir uns und dann ist alles... Du
wäre doch, wenn ich dir eine Ohrfeige gebe, oder? Ihr fangt an, euch auf den Boden zu prügeln, ich strecke mich aus.
Art should influence society.
I liked Helmut Berger's delivery of the line, "Art should influence society," so much that I made it a reoccurring motive in the film. And that was just spontaneous.
My mother hated me, you know that? Your mother hated you too, right? Just say yes, I'm not American.
Actually, I was also involved with Alexander's former movies, and I also acted in them and assisted him in the movie. So when he asked me if I wanted another role in another movie, I said yes, of course I want to. It's always fun to work with him, so, well, it was fun to work with him again on Timeless. Jane is a really, really stupid hipster girl. Really, she has no idea what's going on.
And the scene when Arnold appears in the present was the very first scene we filmed after my American friends left.
Amalie geht mit nem Gummikavalier ins Bad.
And I had the idea of Jane's character in the film, presenting the actors on her cell phone, swiping the cell phone left to right. So we were filming this and I put in some references. One of the actors, Klaus Müller, who is also acting in all of my films, and even the earliest ones, Killer Squirrel, he is holding a cell phone and watching Mutant Calculator, which is a video I did in 2011.
Kameradin Waltraud, müssen wir nochmal.
I always have a very small crew. You know, it's mostly me behind the camera or Matthias behind the camera if I'm acting. Sometimes both of us behind 2 cameras. Then someone to do the sound, and that's mostly it. Light, Matthias and I often do ourselves. And then the actors.
Kameradinnen, Kamera.
When Arnold and Jane encountered the right-wing people, it was a very strange day of filming. It was early February, it was very, very, very cold that day, but it's supposed to be summer in the film. We filmed it in an old factory that was about to be rebuilt into a beautiful new building. It was about to be renovated. So it was very cold. We had to put all kinds of heaters in there, you know, put the cables through holes that were in the floor and put heaters into the room. And when you watch the scene, you can actually see the heaters, because I thought it makes it more interesting if we have some stuff standing around.
Aber jetzt du sagst nicht, ich sag noch eine Textzeile. Stellen Sie bitte in eine Reihe auf und dann schreibst du.
Also so, dann sage ich, stellen Sie sich bitte in eine Reihe auf.
Oder halt so.
Bitte alle in eine Reihe aufstellen.
Sehr gut, der war ja gut.
Okay.
Ich würde sagen, probieren wir die Szene noch einmal ganz von Anfang durch und dann machen wir es mit Kamera.
Ach, nie mit dem System!
Always when it's had cut, we would turn on the heaters, and especially Jenny in her summer dress would stand in front of the heater. It was very, very interesting, because in the film you don't see any of that.
So at one moment I just held this heater into my face, and then again turning it to Jenny because she needed some. You could really misunderstand this.
Ihr beide kämpft dann praktisch mit denen da und ihr rennt auf die zu. Also ich würde sagen, wenn wir es drehen, die Schlägerei machen wir dann auch separat mit Tanzkamera.
I'm happy to have Dirk Helbig, a theatre actor from Stuttgart, in those scenes.
In the opening, when Arnold and Jane are running away from the cops, it was great fun. The 2 actors were playing the police officers there. You know, Patrick and Christoph, they are wonderful, and we had some very comedic moments. We improvised a lot.
Polizei! Das ist eine Großrazzia.
The opening dialogues of the left-wing scene were completely improvised, and you know, I let the actors just get into character, and we got some very strange moments.
Alle haben Angst vor einem 3. Weltkrieg, aber wenn du dir anguckst, wie viele Nationen allein in Afghanistan drin sind.
Ach, lasst mich doch mit in Ruhe.
Eigentlich hast du praktisch, wenn du den Bon hättest. Ja,
das dachte ich auch bisher, ja.
Ich weiß jetzt, ihr könnt da bleiben, bis Gras mit der Sache gewachsen ist.
Genau.
Ihr könnt ruhig so lange bleiben, bis Gras mit der Sache gewachsen ist.
It's one of Alex's specialties to give people multiple roles. So when we filmed the left-wing scene, they were all the same, like from the right-wing scene.
So in the morning we would film the right-wing scene, in the evening we would film the left-wing scene.
It was cool because they just had to switch their costumes, and now it was the same people but incredibly friendly.
Gib mir die Kamera, ich brauche die Bilder.
Und bitte.
Ja, Leute, zurück zum Alltag.
Freundlichkeit. Liebe.
Was zum Teufel macht ihr hier? Wer seid ihr? Ihr versaut uns einen ganzen Take!
Silver Mesh is a reference to my previous feature, Break Up, where he had an initial appearance. And, you know, he's the guru selling things. And in the screenplay, it was a very tense situation. We see Silver Mesh, we see the girls, we see the police.
Soll ich Ruhe und Frieden verbreiten, wenn Idioten wie ihr...
Du sitzt vielleicht ein bisschen näher hier. Also so, dass... Ich kann wieder. Du brauchst den Schal.
Aber den habe ich letztes Mal auch nicht an, oder?
Doch, doch, den hast du hier. An dem haben die Mädels immer so rumgestreichelt.
Sorry, das war beendet.
It was not planned that this many guns would be in the scene.
We see Silver Mesh, we see the girls, we see the police, and nobody moves. But then on the day of filming I had the idea, let's give them guns.
Auf sie! Ja, du bist böse.
Das bedeutet, ich muss meine Bewegung auch gleichzeitig
Genau, genau.
Raus! Ashram Girls, auf sie!
Maybe this could fit in there. And why don't you hold this? and hey you, need a gun? And everybody was like, yeah, I want to hold a gun.
Many scenes developed like that. In the screenplay they were more harmless, and when we were filming them, they became very, very strange. For example, the scene with the car.
Bereit? Okay, Kamera. Noch ein Tick näher.
The smashing of the car was amazing.
In the screenplay I wrote a 3-page dialogue. You know, a lot of exposition. You know, about time travel, about time portals, about all that. And I was never happy with that, because, you know, when I wrote it, I thought I will figure out a way to make this interesting. But it was difficult, you know, a 3-page dialogue, which is basically exposition. Then I had the idea, let them smash a car.
Bereit? 2, 1 und bitte.
A few days before we were filming the scene with the car, I just shortened the 3-page exposition to just a few lines that you see in the film, and the scene becomes so much more intense.
My role, Jane, she's not really intelligent, so she has this small axe or whatever it is, so and tries to destroy the car and just doesn't work, and then sometime later someone gives me this big hammer and then it works.
Alles gut, dann machen wir sie separat in einer Aufnahme kaputt.
We had to concentrate a lot. I never use storyboards, I always compose the scene in my head before I'm filming, so I was very concentrated on that scene. And I usually don't smoke cigars, you know, I'm not a smoker. So on that day I was actually smoking 4 cigars because I always went out and I had to smoke the next one. So I smoked so many cigars and I had to remember all the shots, it was very difficult.
Würde ich sagen, 5 Sekunden Fahrt los, ja? Ab jetzt.
He originally planned that I would just talk all through the scene, and then at one point I just got this big hammer and I went, oh, that's gonna be so great! And just escalated on the side of the car.
You cannot do 2 takes with the car, so we filmed with 3 cameras actually. And you know, we filmed one line, you know, for example, let's smash the window, and then we froze. We put the cameras at a different position and we filmed the continuation of the scene. So we always had to watch out. Sometimes we filmed the dialogue in close-up and everybody was just pretending to smash the car, not to put any additional damage on it, not to destroy the continuity.
Okay, dann gehe ich hier vorbei. Szene von Jenny erinnern und dann geht das mit dem Benzin los und dann sind wir hier durch.
It looks expensive, but actually it was a very damaged car. It had major engine damage and apparently it was not really easy to fix it. So at least it's put into the film for a good use.
Die meisten Leute in der jetzigen Gesellschaft sind langweilig. Alle denken, ich bin alternativ, ich bin open-minded, oh, ich denke ganz anders als der Rest, ich bin so ausgefallen.
In every film we have this kind of scene where he starts to lecture Arnold.
Ich hole mir im Internet irgendwelche Bastelanleitungen für Scheiße in meinem Haus. Weißt du, ich lese im Internet, ich gehe auf irgendwelche Blogs, ich bin Blogger, ich bin creative. Jeder will kreativ sein, jeder kreiert Scheiße, niemand kümmert's.
Konstantin is kind of gets expressive because he knows everything about the world, and Arnold kind of turns stupid.
Ich denke so anders als die anderen Herdentiere. Ich lasse mich von Werbung nicht beeinflussen. Ich sehe alles so leicht kritisch, leicht ironisch, immer in Maßen.
Actually, nobody is helping Arnold. Arnold appears in the future. Nobody's telling him what's going on. They're all just crazy. So I made Konstantin very angry. And when we were filming, Matthias, who was doing the camera, and Jenny, who was doing the sound, we've known each other for many years. So they taught me all kinds of things that made me nervous and angry, so I did the monologue, I improvised a lot.
We just had to make Alex angry. He wasn't that angry before, and then we told him, well, there was this girl, you know, she did this and this and this, and he was, well, yes, that girl, I forgot about her, so terrible. He got exhausted and we just kept going, and there was this other girl, she was such a terrible person, and girls are terrible, and then, well, this rant started, so it was really, really funny to watch.
Sie betrinken sich, um zu vergessen, dass sie eigentlich alle betrunkene Spießer sind, die kein Leben haben, um irgendwie den Frust runterzuspülen. Der Geist schlägt keine Flammen mehr, wenn er von Alkohol ertränkt ist.
You don't have to worry about anything. You just... Alex is gonna say stuff. He's gonna keep saying stuff. Then he is going to add stuff to that. And you go out with not even saying anything.
Ja, ich bin ja vernünftig. Immer diese Vernunft. Alle wollen vernünftig sein, sind aber voll Deppen.
The scene where Konstantin seduces all these girls, I wrote very quickly one night. I was listening to this piece of music and I just had the idea.
And it was the very first scene I wrote for Timeless on August 11, 2013.
When writing, I thought the scene is so complicated it will be very difficult to film. But actually we filmed it relatively quickly over a few weekends. And a lot of the ideas there are spontaneous, especially the visual ideas.
When we filmed the sequence, it was so spontaneous that Matthias couldn't make time on such a short notice, so Tanja Rademacher operated the camera on a few days.
Das andere wäre super spießig und ich bin auf jeden Fall anders.
Das wollte ich auch gerade sagen.
Dann lass uns zu dir gehen.
I wrote the arts performance scene after attending a genuine student's arts performance. It all was so serious, I thought, what if we mix it up, you know, what if we make it more comedic?
Also, Hintergrund, Action bitte erst.
The arts performance, I wanted to make pure slapstick mixed with criticism of contemporary art.
Young Lisa here is a very promising young girl. I remember when I learned my craft.
And the cast of that arts performance scene is very international. We have Helmut Berger there, we have Tzachi Noy from Israel, who is very, very well known for the Lemon Popsicle films from the 70s and 80s. He said the installation shows the basic problem. We filmed it in 2 days and it was an easy shoot. I like working in that studio because it just gives you a lot of opportunity to control lighting, control everything there.
The use of sound is highly subtle, and Liza has a great potential.
Well, Helmut Berger and Alexander got along really, really well. I think they just connected on some level.
Helmut Berger is a great actor and I've admired him since I was a teenager. Helmut Berger was starring in Salon Kitty by my friend Tinto Brass. You know, I like Tinto and suddenly I get a chance to collaborate with Helmut Berger.
I remember to have worked with him and it was nice to work. He was a good fellow. You have taken from him a nice moment of his expression very well.
Yeah. You're taking something, and then he says something, Lisa says something, I say something, and then you have a plate already full.
Of course, I'll change all your demands, she says.
Yeah.
Und im Hintergrund, genau, ihr seid erschrocken, wenn er sagt, shut up. Also, alle bereit? 3, 2, 1. I wouldn't do that.
Shut the fuck up! What do you know about art? Art means compromise. Art means collaboration.
Yes, someone presents a work, and we all start somewhere, working on it together.
A young artist needs a guiding hand.
You're right.
I doubt you're a good mentor.
Professor Martin, I just was trying.
The art gallery scene was, again, one of Arnold's slapstick scenes. This time it was really, really funny, because not only me had this kind of scene, but we had like those easy breakable bottles and glasses. And everybody was interacting with everybody.
What do you think of the slapstick scenes in Timeless? You know, smashing bottles, people running away with the funny music.
It is very nice. It was very, very, very expressive. Very, very good. I like it very much.
In the screenplay, Helmut Berger's character wouldn't smash a bottle. But then Helmut had the idea, let's do this, let's smash the bottle. So we filmed it in 2 takes and it was just very wonderfully comedic.
I go back to the group.
I fell in love with Helmut Berger's eyes, and we filmed a lot of close-ups because with the stare of his eyes, he just conveys so much meaning.
Ich weiß nicht, das Wetter haben wir sehr, sehr lange nicht mehr.
I always edit my films myself, and during filming I already have strong ideas about the editing, and that's why I very often edit the scenes right after we were filming them. For example, with Helmut Berger, we shot for 2 days. And, you know, after the first day, we ended filming at, I think, 7 in the evening. Then I went to my home, started editing until 3 at night, and the next morning I started filming the next day, and then I edited the full scene after the 2nd day.
Tuschinski is a genius at editing. His editing is rather inventive.
Das ist eine Radio-Fernseh-Kombination von 1956, ein besonderes Schmuckstück.
The scene with the media collector, with Joseph, Konstantin's friend, was filmed with my good friend Robin, who is playing the media collector, and he supplied a lot of items from his own collection, including a vintage television, which we fed with the Chancellor Schmidt speech. Ich glaube, das reicht von den Totalen. Ich würde jetzt gleich in die Nahen gehen und dann machen wir mit dem Fernseher weiter.
Und da habe ich gedacht, man muss das Glück am Schopf packen. Genau wie man die negativen Elemente am Schopf packt und in Glückscamps packt.
Filming Chancellor Schmidt was great fun. Philip Metzler, who acted in my previous film Break Up, played the role very well, and I believe on that day, you know, I thought, okay, I'll buy a flag for that day. So I ordered some flags online to be in the background, but they didn't arrive on time. It was very rainy that day. So Philip arrived, and the both of us, you know, walked out into the rain to a flag store where we could actually buy the flags, and we brought them to the set and we filmed it.
Es gibt viele Geschichten, die ich euch zu erzählen habe, aber eine liegt mir ganz besonders am Herzen. Ich hatte ein Café, das habe ich unheimlich geliebt. Es war keine große Kette und es war eigentlich auch nichts Großes, aber es war was Kleines, was Persönliches und die Leute waren gut und der Kaffee hat richtig nach Kaffee geschmeckt. Und ich bin weggezogen aus diesem Ort, wo es dieses Café gab und ich habe mir geschworen, ich werde zurückfahren und dieses Café erneut besuchen, mit dem Barista sprechen, der sich so gut auskennt, mit dem man sich nett unterhalten kann.
Ich schau kurz hier in die Perspektive, was sieht man denn da?
Ich muss aufhören.
Cut, wunderbar.
Gut. Es wäre natürlich zuerst eine befristete Stelle.
Dominic, who's playing the interviewer, is a very good friend of mine, and he played the same interviewer in my previous film Break Up, with Cavo, who's also playing the secretary in that film. So it links the two films, kind of. And we filmed it in the agency Fischer Appelt in Stuttgart. They were very friendly. They supplied us this great location. I just asked, you know, I saw the picture online of their location, asked them, would it be possible to film there? And they just said, yes, of course. And they were very, very supportive of a new project.
We're forced to watch the most implausible World War II scenes and scenarios where we're lectured on the evils of war.
The American World War II scene is a big contrast to the German one. The American one looks a lot cleaner, more like a Hollywood film. We did it at a place called Manufaktur Ziegenbein in Germany, a former factory. And Harry was flying to another film that day, so we had to film very early in the morning. It was very intense. We woke up at 3 or so and we were starting filming at 4:30.
World War II scene was a dream come true. I'd never gotten to do a role where I wore so much old-time gear. This was authentic. Every bit of clothing was authentic World War II gear. Here I am on that third day of filming in the World War II scene, running around. It just made you feel like a child. You're like, you know, like playing guns or playing cowboys.
There would be so much ammunition in these pouches, they would weigh a lot. Yeah.
The thing weighed a ton though. It was a workout to have it on all day. I mean, Rick and I did running sprints at each other, just euphorically jogging, you know, even when cameras weren't running. I don't know, it was just a blast.
You go into cover, basically. It's something really quick and subconscious.
I don't need to see you, I just need to be you. Then you got the lizard's way.
It's arrogant to say because I know friends who have risked their lives, but the truth is, the way the location was, the chip paint, the old building, to put that thing up and wait by the side of the wall to go down the stairs felt pretty raw.
The scene, I thought you actually hurt yourself because it's so convincing.
Yeah. I'm holding a machine gun, walking into an empty room, and suddenly I see heads in fields of grass, and the set wasn't the expense of the killing fields. It was what Alex can bring out of you if he pushes you into a room.
I liked researching the war scene, and I made it my mission to make it as historically correct as possible. So these American paratroopers carry Thompson submachine guns that are World War II models, simplified rear sights, simplified barrel, and all these things. And the revolutionaries later in the film carry 1920s style, early style Thompson submachine guns. So we have this evolution of the Thompson submachine gun.
Die tut ja gar nicht. Was soll der Scheiß? Nicht mal mehr Knarren bauen können, Dummy sein.
Nee, guck mal, das ist modernste Hightech aus den 20ern, wenn das Magazin leer ist.
I have exhibition everywhere. Paris, Milan, Tokyo. I had success everywhere. I had the most beautiful women everywhere. But no matter who you are, if you don't use the right technique, women stay untouchable.
I wanted to make the first half of the film very funny, very slapstick kind of, while the second half gets serious. A kind of a parable of a carefree society getting more strict, like we had it with Weimar Germany, and a very open liberal society suddenly turning into Nazi Germany. And I did not want Timeless to address any particular ideology, so I made the dictator very random. I didn't want him to reference real-life totalitarian regimes, because I want to make Timeless a parable on power. And
Warte, okay. Bitte. Liebe Freundinnen, liebe Freunde, ich freue mich sehr, dass ihr mich mit einer überwältigenden Mehrheit zu eurem neuen Kanzler gewählt habt.
The front page that you see is actually the opening of my novel Fetzenleben, which I copied by hand and I put on top of all that.
Okay, sehr gut. Das sind 15.000 €.
Wow, das ist eine ganz schöne Stange Geld, ha?
Hast du was da?
15.000 werden es wohl nicht sein, aber so, ich denke auf
2.000 werde ich schon kommen. Ich könnte 8.000 zusteuern, aber ich habe Connections, die machen uns das komplett.
Filming with Alina was great. It was funny because we didn't meet till then. We just wrote some stuff because we had this little love story going on in the film. And at first I thought it's gonna be some kind of awkward, but no big deal.
Together with my friend Hugo Niebeling, I edited his film B7, which is basically Beethoven's 7th Symphony. I fell in love with this one part from the first movement, which I used in Timeless.
In verblüffender Weise meinte man, das sei alles Filmmusik genau für die Szene komponiert, weil er so genau danach schneidet.
Running in a train station is based on a scene from my real life. I was running through a train station with a girl and it felt extremely carefree. And it was not a special occasion, but I just thought this feeling of freedom is something the film needs.
But on top of that, he sits around and writes the scores and composes songs and can sing the songs. Hitchcock couldn't do that. William Wyler couldn't do it. D.W. Griffith, of course, barely knew how to use sound at all. Tuschinski is pretty remarkable.
In the first version of the film, it was just Gudrun, you know, Gudrun Konstantin Arnold, and I wrote in Lizzie at a later point because I thought I should give Aline a nice role there, and I should give the whole end of the film a different dynamic. We were in a small group, Sebastian, Barbara, David, Aline and I, plus, of course, you know, behind the camera, Matthias, Jenny, the whole crew. And, you know, we were always in this location, this revolutionary cave, so to say. I call it a cave, but like it's this apartment with the reddish light.
Ich bevorzuge immer noch die gute alte Kalaschnikow. Ist wenigstens idiotensicher.
And it felt like we're starting a real revolution because we were this small group always together, you know, always in this decoration. And it was a very interesting experience. The dog, Kiro, who is in the apartment, he's Barbaras dog.
Pulverisiert! Es ist doch immer so, eine Revolution beginnt, dann ersetzt sie irgendeinen Scheiß, der vorher bestand, wird eine gute Regierung, wird wieder schlecht, durch eine neue Revolution gestürzt und dann kommt wieder eine gute Gruppe, die die Böse kaputt macht, die Böse wird gut, die Gute wird böse, immer der Kreislauf, wir machen es anders.
Generally I edited quite aggressively, so to say. I wanted to put a lot of speed dynamics into this film and cut out all the moments that made it drag.
There were those scenes, we call them the looks, because Arnold actually is pretty shy around girls. So whenever they looked away, he would like kind of look down.
Dann muss ich noch sagen dazu, dass es der amerikanische Geheimdienst ist.
CIA.
Du hast keine Ahnung, wer das CIA ist.
CIA und du, ja, das ist der amerikanische Geheimdienst.
Der amerikanische Geheimdienst?
Denke ich. Das Mikrofon noch ein kleines Stückchen aus dem Bild. Genau. Danke.
Du musst mit ihrer Karte bezahlen.
Das ist doch absoluter Schwachsinn, was Sie da sagen.
Filmboard Karlsruhe and Dr. Oliver Langewitz were of great help organizing the bank scene. The bank teller is played by a talented young actress, Nadine Knobloch.
The customer is played by Gregor Sauvageau, who already acted in my very first film Killer Squirrels in 2008 and who acted in Break Up as a judge, and I wanted him to be in this film, and he really got into character, and I think, and you know, he's smashing his card because he's angry at the system, and I think the card even broke or something, it got a rip. It was in a real bank that we got due to generous support of the bank. A lot of the locations in the film I got due to the generous support of people who believed in the project. They didn't want money for it, they just wanted to support us.
The scene was pretty nostalgic because we had Gregor there from Killer Eichhörnchen. We had Alex and me had big coats. That reminded me of Menschenlieb. And then we, of course, had guns. That's everything you need for a perfect Alex scene.
I didn't say I was a powerful man. Let me get this semantically precise. Because it's important as a man to be semantically precise.
The revolutionaries have a lot of guns. People tell me in the second part of the film, it's just guns, guns, guns. During filming, I kept thinking, let's do another scene with guns, let's do another scene with guns. Let's have Konstantin get a gun for his birthday. So we filmed this birthday scene where Konstantin gets a Prest, which is again an assault rifle. So it was very strange and very funny.
Look at my fucking gun. Look at my fucking gun and say goodbye. Say it. Goodbye. Alright.
The second day of filming was the sitcom where I got to dress up in a squirrel outfit.
It's nice to meet you. Nice to meet you too, man. It was a pleasure, man. You're the big star tonight. It's a big event.
Yeah, we're gonna have some fun, man.
What are you guys talking about? What does this have to do with my wife? It was actually my favorite day of filming.
I do have two outfits for you also. The one would be you put on this plus a tool.
It was supposed to be much more serious in the screenplay, in the sense the craftsman, played by Rick Shapiro, was supposed to look realistic, like a realistic repairman who rings the doorbell and you wonder, is he actually a repairman or is there something sleazy going on, and you find it out. But you know, Rick proposed, I can do it without a shirt on. And it looked so funny, and it was so funny, so we went with this over-the-top way.
Kamera und Rekorder beide bereit? Laufen. Okay, Ruhe am Set, dann...
I found the sitcom guy, I found him more at the end. So there's a moment he sits back with his toolbox and waiting for a beer, and I said, oh, I like this guy, I like who I am.
I see the greatness in you, Rick. What do you say we go see the greatness?
Yeah, I was thinking that.
Performance-wise, and we had some great moments. Harry was deciding, influenced I think by Rick, to improv a little, to add an element of the absurd to his lines.
The squirrel! The squirrel!
It's perfect.
Yeah, it's alright.
Oh man, thanks. Sorry, I almost got us both killed.
Yeah, but I guess we're in the right place.
How do you know talk to him like that?
Well, you know, I mean, you see a guy in a squirrel outfit, reason usually works.
How do you put that together?
It's a little different when they're wearing an elephant costume. And reason doesn't usually work the same way.
So you ready to take the helicopter ride?
Yeah, let's do it, man.
I'm telling you, man.
I think we all just had a blast. That day was ridiculously fun, and we just got to go really goofy. And the rehearsals on that day were thorough as usual. We got to go through things over and over again, and allowed to explore and figure out what worked best with patience. It's a nice day.
You know, you label your whole life. You label everything. You live for false structure and patterns. If I say good morning, wife will give me a cup of coffee. If I say I like your pussy, woman will give me her whole pussy all fucking day long. But you don't care about that, do you? You care about being a dead stiff and then making your wife a dead stiff so nobody wants to touch her, nobody wants to look at her, but you got the big prize. You're the big prize man. You're the man with the big stuffed animal. The big stuff. You get to fool yourself because that's what you want. That's all you are, is a guy who wants to fool himself. You got a goddamn gun. You dress like a squirrel because you're going to a party you don't want to go to. Your whole life is secluding real men and men who could give a shit and not include.
I know how you feel.
Hello?
Oh, hi. I'm your new neighbor.
There were a few takes when Miles Hunter, the actor, is opening the door and we see Harry Lennox and Rick Shapiro. They did all kinds of improvisation and different kinds of faces. You know, with Rick, I picked a take where he goes, fuck, how are you? But there were different takes also, and some he's playing it more straight, and I liked to give actors some variation.
Yeah. Hello.
Oh, we got problems. Uh-oh, you gotta let me in. Let me in. Don't deny me. This is only half of it. Wagon up, baby. You're about to be rode hard and put away wet. Ha!
Hello?
What?
Hello?
Shooting the domination scenes was great fun.
Seit wann darfst du mich berühren? Jetzt glaubst du denn, wer du bist?
Der Sittenminister? We had an actor there, Thomas Görsch, who just goes for it.
Hier herrscht Sitte und Ordnung.
I thought we will simulate it, hint at it, you know, maybe shoot one close-up of a whip or something like that. But he immediately said, let's make this go extreme, you know, I don't care if you have a scene of a guy being whipped, just go with it. And we made it more and more absurd, and actually on set we were laughing all the time, you know. Thomas and Barbara, when they were acting, when Barbara is whipping him, between takes they were both laughing. We found it ridiculous. It was not arousing for any one of us. It wasn't even painful.
Everything floats around in and out of each other. I probably met you inside when I was inside you. You know, I've been inside your wife. Who the hell knows me?
How dare you talk about my wife?
I'm talking about the cosmos.
Okay?
Okay, we are ready, Angus.
The guilt is clearly in his eyes. The way he moves, the way he cries. But prison time, you are all mad. Just look at him, this nice young lad.
It's great fun to be with Angus McFadyen. He is very creative. He constantly has ideas for screenplays. And when you talk, you constantly talk about potential ideas for film. So you never stop being creative with him, which is a very pleasant process.
Angus McFadyen, for example. That guy doesn't just chew scenery. He starts neatly at the corner of the set in every scene, and he swallows the whole damn set. The guy's a fucking genius. His acting will inspire loud laughter wherever the film is shown. Far, far into the future. He's visionary.
We have a girl who will attend. It's Mr. Arnold's ex-girlfriend. Acting with Sebastian was great, because like I said, I was introduced through Alex by seeing Menschenliebe at festivals and people turning me on to that. So to me, Sebastian, as an unknown, to me, he's still a star. And he's a fine actor. It was actually great to work with him. I really, really enjoyed working with him in the lawyers scene, in the legal scene.
Order in the court.
Sebastian is a joy to watch. I think he's one of the most charming young actors on the face of the earth. Sebastian, you are wondrously talented. You are absolutely, infinitely charming on film. You have the most wondrous personality on film.
Attorney for the state, your turn.
That was a pretty tough kind of shoot because all the people were actually separated.
The actors were never filmed together. Like Sebastian and I were shot on one day, Harry another, Rick another, and we didn't get to see each other. So we're having to play off of nobody. You know, script reader reading the script really fast and going, boom, now your turn. So it was rough.
Ich hab das vorher gesagt. Du hast mir voll meinen Text weggenommen, Barbara.
Ja, weil du vorhin so lange gezögert hast.
3, 2, 1 und bitte.
When we were driving to Saxony to film The Tank, it felt like a kind of school excursion, you know? All the actors, all these people I've known for many years. We've been friends for many years, they've been in my films. All these people and I in the bus, driven by Matthias, who was doing the cinematography. And we're just all kinds of inside jokes we had. We were just joking around. It was just the best time. Filming with the T-34 tank was very intense because the tank is heavy, a tank is big, and you cannot really communicate well with the tank crew. We had to use hand signals. So the tank starts driving, and even if you shout, they will not really hear you inside the tank because it's just so loud. The magnetic mine that Konstantin puts onto the tank is a prop I created from cardboard and plastic. And when we drove to the filming, we put it in our bus on a seat between David and Maxim, they had it on the seat. And they watched out that it would not break because it's so fragile. And in the film, filming it, actually a part broke off, but you don't see it in the film.
Kamera läuft.
Okay, Luke halb schließen bitte.
Ein bisschen zumachen, nur.
Geh lieber wieder runter und schieß einfach so.
Noch mal reingucken und der schießt mich dann auch, oder?
I researched the uniforms for the World War II scene thoroughly because I just wanted to be period correct. It's set in 1945, so I picked a uniform jacket suitable. The uniform jacket for my character, for Konstantin's character, and his whole equipment I based on the film Cross of Iron by Sam Peckinpah, the main character, Feldwebel Steiner there. He wears the same kind of uniform, the same kind of jacket above the uniform and the same Soviet submachine gun. We had 8 hours to film the World War II scene and we had not scouted the location before. You know, we just arrived and we had 1 day to film it. So Matthias and I went through the location, scouting it, and in the process we got the uniforms dirty. You know, we are lying in the mud, we just got our uniforms dirty. I have some making of footage of us rubbing mud on each other, which looks kind of wrong.
I don't want to talk about my suit. It was... Okay, well, Alex told me, yeah, and could you wear the suit you wore? I was, what? No! That was a present from my grandfather. I can't wear the... It's gonna get dirty, or... yes, it's gonna be pretty. Alex was so... he was, oh yes, it's gonna get dirty. And he didn't get at first that I was pretty worried about this thing. It turned out I had to use that suit and... yeah. It still smells of World War II.
At the end, I got to drive in the tank and film because the boys were too dirty and I was the only one who didn't have mud on her yet because my scene was shot last. So I got to go into the tank and drive with it and film it, and it was really cool. It was a really cool experience and I'm really happy that I had the opportunity to do this.
In the screenplay, I thought I would put 3 German soldiers in a basement and Arnold appears and they're discussing things. So that was the screenplay, because when I wrote it, I thought I'll do just what's doable. Then I got a tank for free, basically, because the owner, Mr. Jörn Bindig, thought he wants to support this film, which was very, very generous. So we traveled to his location and we filmed with the tank.
Mach wie zieht, beginn wie zieht.
A lot of things in this film were just spontaneous. I write the screenplay as a basis to improvise on set or right before the day of filming. Very often, right before we are filming, I go through the script and I rewrite dialogue, you know, the day before, the evening before. And then I send it out to the cast, and I like filmmaking as a very organic process. And until the final film is edited, I believe a lot of things can be done, you know, in editing. When I'm filming it, the style of the film can change, you know, spontaneously if you decide to film a scene in a more comedic way. In editing, you can change everything around. And the film, to me, making a film feels more like painting an impressionist painting. You create a screenplay, you create a footage with all kinds of dots, so to say, all kinds of splashes of color, then you edit it together and it becomes like a painting, like a whole, it becomes a whole work.
Oh, let us trust ideologies, they are good for us. So let us trust ideologies and let's not start a fuss. Pick one and you'll be never wrong again.
Sie! Sind Sie mit uns oder gegen uns?
Ich bin für Sie! To find a neat ideology and others to condemn.
Very few people who have a totalitarian mindset would actually think themselves that they're totalitarian. So that's what I wanted to show.
You're right, you got nice eyes. I need glasses so I see double. Look, my gun looks like it has nice eyes.
I think it's wonderful that he got Hollywood actors like Harry Lennox and Rick Shapiro to be in it, to get the most amount of attention on what may be the final thesis of his early work before he goes off to much higher budget and much higher profile.
Heute muss man einer Frau zuhören und erst dann finden sie einen gut. In deiner Zeit war das mit Frauen viel besser. Da hast du einfach gesagt, ich liebe dich, dann war sie still und das ging. Da hatte der Mann noch das Sagen.
Ich glaube, du hast ein relativ verqueres Bild im Kopf von den Beziehungen aus den 30ern.
Das war sicher besser als heute.
Besser würde ich jetzt, ich meine, das kommt drauf an.
Timeless is my biggest film so far, and I believe it is by far the best one. It tells things about all kinds of aspects of society that are important to me, and its visual language and the production values are just way more sophisticated than my previous works. I think it's really the highlight of my film career so far.
It's a highlight I'm going to treasure forever, and the best thing I've done in acting so far.
I'm gonna get like Harry. What it was like. It was a very important experience. You care about someone, yet you want to find your own happiness, which you're entitled to. And Harry was great.
Sushinsky is a genius, and I hope that anyone looking at this film will never see this, and that this will be edited from the rolls of history, and that he will never know how much I greatly admired his editing style and his directing. And I quite disagree with McFadden's assessment of it.
There must be a planet out there, somewhere, whose civilization is based on the worst movies of all time, and Timeless will hold a sacred place among their most treasured artifacts. Yes, indeed, some things are best watched at 3 a.m., wrapped in the warm glow of a beautiful woman, and drugs and alcohol, and Timeless is one of those movies. I urge you to buy it now. It's a masterpiece. And I can't think of any more dialogue anymore.
Ich wünsche noch einen schönen Nachmittag. Aber wir gehen im Guten auseinander.